Hey Radiant Souls, welcome back to my channel. My name's Heather. I am an intuitive artist, author, animal communicator, counselor, teacher, coach, and I am on a mission to empower and embolden others to connect with their divine radiant light and honor the sacred connection with all life. And when I say divine radiant light, what that really just boils down to is your authentic self. So if you feel like you are putting on a face for others, even for yourself, maybe I challenge you, perhaps you may be stepping outside of your divine radiant light. And in my perspective, from my perspective, in my view, we're all here to be so deliciously unique and different that that's it. When we all find that gear, that divine radiant light for ourselves, we are the puzzle piece that fits everything and helps everything make more sense. So let's figure out how to find that today. Let's dive a little deep on one of the questions that I get asked often. I don't know if it's my number one question, but it's probably pretty close. And it is, how do you trust your intuition? And when they're asking, they're not asking me personally, how do I trust it? But how does one trust one's intuition? Often when we are on the path of awakening, one of the things that starts to defrost, if you will, is your intuition, your innate ability to perceive things that are not perceived by your five physical senses. You may not classify that as intuition. You may not even know what intuition is, but if you're here watching this video, you're probably on some kind of path of uncovering or discovering that for yourself. So it is a valid question because it's often an experience that feels different or unique or new to us. And this can also be for those who are experiencing maybe mediumship, maybe connecting with loved ones who have crossed over. Anything in the kind of, not new agey, but the extrasensory perception realm, that kind of neighborhood is what we're going to talk about today. So each of these tips can really apply for any of those as well. And I asked my team of guides if they could help develop kind of some answers for us for this question. And as they tend to do, they came up with a list. So I want to say mine first, and then I'll get to their list. But one of the things that I teach and that I've learned over the years is to be able to distinguish where and how you're feeling your intuition, and more specifically, where your body identifies truth versus a lie. And there may be more than one kind of tell that you have, but that's also what I work with when I do affirmations on my social media, if anybody's seen those. I don't want to just say the pretty words. I don't want to just spread positivity, although that's absolutely part of it. But I want us all to get so familiar with, hey, that doesn't feel right for me, that we know what that is, and we can go to that space and be able to say, that wasn't really the truth, might be something else. So when we do it with an affirmation, we're doing it to say, oh, I need to go back and maybe fix that because I'm out of alignment with what that affirmation is saying. But when we're doing it specific to our intuition, that's one of the ways we learn. It's one of the ways that we're able to distinguish our imagination from our intuition. So I would encourage you to start, if you haven't already, exploring that for yourself. When you see something that you know or have a very high suspicion is likely false for you, where do you feel it? Do you get like the hairs on the back of your neck standing up? Does your stomach just do like a little thing that just feels different? Something in your body, your pulse may quicken, your breath may get shallow, something in your body is likely giving you a clue. So that's the first thing I would say. So when you know what that is, when you are having an intuitive moment, when you're experiencing something intuitively, you can then say, did my body give me the feedback that this was a lie? If not, that's a way you can trust your intuition. So, and there are some tools that you can do that with, like a pendulum or muscle testing, things like that. Those are great. I like to be hands-free and as toolless as necessary. So just try feeling it for yourself too. So that was my tip, was know where your truth is in your body and what that feels like for you, as it can be really helpful. The first tip from the guides was, are you judging your experience or just experiencing it? So one of the things that gets us caught up is that automatic self-critic. So you may be having an intuitive impression about something. Does the voice come in right away that says, no, nobody else is saying that, so it can't be true? Or you got things wrong in 1987, so why are you going to get them right now? Or are you just in the moment experiencing it? So if you take yourself out and have the metacognition of being the observer. I'm a big fan of journaling for this reason, because it helps you take notes as if you're just witnessing something. And that's really what it is. Just witness it, just experience it, just observe it. Take notes. Let's say that you had a dream that felt like an intuitive dream. Rather than waking up and kind of dissecting it, oh, well, this must mean this. And because I dreamed about bears and a book told me bears mean something, then it must be this. Don't do that. Maybe come back to that, but first, just write it down. Just notate it, experience it, witness it without that ego self coming in and passing any judgment. So are you judging the experience or just experiencing it? And to better connect with your intuition, just experience it and have enough of those experiences of it and enough of that documentation, those field notes, if you will, that you can go back and say, oh, okay, I see where maybe I was right on target. Maybe I was falling short a little bit, or it didn't quite come to pass, but that's the one that I didn't quite know. And so when I was writing my notes, I kind of made it up, or I filled in the blank. You'll be able to see for yourself where things feel outside of how you're feeling truth in your body, where you are experiencing things versus imagining. So that's a key distinction to be able to make for yourself. The next thing on the list is, are you too rigid in what is correct? So, we do not like to give ourselves a pass or give ourselves any kind of forgiveness. We like to just automatically score our papers with the big red pen and say, nope, that was wrong. So diving a little deeper, let's say you had the intuitive dream, and in the dream you saw one of your friends entering maybe a situation that was unsafe for them. And so you wrote down what the dream was, what the friend was wearing, what the time of day was, everything you observed from that scene. And maybe you told your friend and she said, yeah, well, that didn't happen because, I wasn't wearing the white jumpsuit that you said I was in shorts, and then this other person was there and you didn't say any of that. So are you nitpicking your information and saying, I didn't get it absolutely crystal clear right? Or are you giving yourself the benefit of learning and developing and saying, okay, I had her at a place that felt unsafe. That much happened. Cool. What's key here behind this question, or this answer, I guess it is the question too. Trust. Do you even trust yourself? Do you trust yourself consistently? Do you trust yourself in any situation? And if not, be honest about that. Intuition is not bypassing your relationship with yourself. Intuition should not be the be-all, end-all of information that helps you make a decision. So you're in there. You're in that intuition. It's not separate from you. It's coming through you as the vessel. So if you don't have a history of trusting yourself, just because you're developing your intuition, you're not going to automatically win your own trust. So any kind of development you can do with being honest with yourself, being forgiving of yourself, being gracious with yourself can help you when you are developing your intuition. Similar to that, along those same lines, the next point the team wanted to bring up was, are you listening or valuing others' opinions above yourself or your own? So often we like to share our information, or we're having a conversation with somebody and that immediate feedback we get from them may not be supportive. It may be critical. There may be name calling even. You may be labeled. Certain things can happen. So I would say a couple of things here. Be cautious with, not that I want you to feel isolated or alone. Absolutely not. Opposite of that. But find those spaces, find those communities that are supportive and know how to give valuable, supportive feedback. If you find you are often around people who are very persnickety and contradictory and dismissive of what feels very important and sacred to you, don't be around those people. Don't share this part of you with that. Honor yourself and put yourself in the relationships and the situations and the communities that can best nurture and support that for you. Because as we're learning and developing, there's this, just like when a plant is growing, when it's the little bitty teeny tiny leaves of the plant, they're very tender, and it's a very precious time for growth. We go through that as well as we're developing our abilities. So be gentle and tender with yourself, and don't feel the need to prove yourself by someone else's reflection. The next thing on the list is, are you trying to have intuition be an escape? We talked about that just a minute ago, that it is not bypassing your relationship with self. It is part of a fuller picture. I like to think of it as like 360 vision, where maybe most of the day we're just here, we're at a 180 vision or a 240, and it just gives us a broader perspective on a scene or on an event or on something in our lives. But it is not the only point of view. It is not the only perspective. So having that healthy balance with it as well, and not just saying, oh, I can intuit this and then I don't need to take action, or I can intuit this and it's just gonna work out that way. Have it be a part of a balanced breakfast, part of a balanced approach to decision making. Are you only trying 1 to 2 ways to do intuition? So this was an interesting one, and it came with a picture from my guides, that if you went to the store the same way every single time you went to the store, you take a right on this road, you go a little bit that way, you turn into a parking lot, What happens if there's a roadblock and you don't know any other ways? And in this example, there's no GPS, there's no Siri, nothing like that. If you don't explore other ways to get from point A to point B, you're gonna get stuck. So same with our intuition. If you just know, oh, I'm clairvoyant and I see things, try to develop some of your other abilities. Try to hear things, try to feel things. Just take them out for a test drive, but don't stop at just the one. And often you'll find that as you develop, there is one stronger way that you perceive things, but that doesn't mean it's the only one. So scratch the surface on that. Look for those alternate routes and practice them. So that if there is the roadblock, like on the way to the store, you can take a different route, you can go a different path, you can go backwards, sideways, forwards, and still get to where you want to be. The next one is, are you devoted, present, and in practice? Sometimes we think, and I think it's a bit of a misconception that's out there, that you're just gonna find intuition like it's the change under the couch cushions. And once you find it, that's it, you're good, you found it. That's not exactly how it works. You need to practice. And in that practice, I would say, are you treating it as a devotion? Are you spending time with yourself? Are you allowing yourself to be present and to acknowledge that it is a journey, that you will develop, that you will grow, but you need to practice as you're going, and you need the stumbling sometimes. You need to get things wrong to figure out how things can go right and how things do work for you. When a baby starts to walk, it doesn't do it right away. It stumbles, it falls over. We don't judge the baby and say, well, you're never going to walk. That's it. You're hopeless. Have that same approach with yourself, but really treat that time as, it can be fun, it can be playful, absolutely, but treat it as a devotion and treat it as a practice, because the more you show up for yourself, the more you will build that trust with yourself. Think of it as, if you were in a relationship with somebody and they never listened to anything you said, they just never, ever, ever, you'd stop talking to them. Same thing as with your intuition. If you never believe or never listen to it and don't sit in relationship with it, it's not going to really be there for you. So it's a two-way street, and working to build it and strengthen it can be really helpful. So speaking of helpful, I hope this information was helpful. If any of you watching have some tips that have worked for you, drop them in the comments. Everybody share. I'd love to see what you write. And if you want to dive deeper and you would like some support on your intuitive journey, I do have a class coming up later in January called Intuitive Mastery Bootcamp. We're going to dive deeper into some of this, but mainly we're going to learn and practice some different techniques, and we're going to look at how intuition works for each of us. It's an opportunity for that community, that safe space that I talked about in one of the answers or the questions. And it promises to be a great time. It's 5 Saturdays in a row. If you can attend live, that's great. You don't have to. You'll get the recording of each class as well. But I'll put the information below. If you're interested in joining, it would be really great to connect with you and help support you on your journey. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.